There are a lot of questions about what's happening in the Middle East. Joining me now to break that down, to what led up to the airstrikes to begin with, and what happens next as well, is Professor Rick Sindelar, a scholar at Rice University's Baker Institute. Welcome and thank you for being here. All right, let's start from the very beginning. How did we get here?
Well, we got here because neither we nor Israel want Iran to have nuclear weapons. Iran has a fatwa, which is a religious edict that says they shouldn't have nuclear weapons, but what they're practically doing was building toward nuclear weapons. So Trump knocked out a portion anyway, a significant portion of their nuclear program. Now he's basically looking to bring regime change so that they can nail down that Iran will never have nuclear weapons. It basically goes back to nuclear weapons, and it's driven a lot by the fear about what nuclear weapons might do to Israel. Retaliation
is certainly a concern here, so we want to talk about how this affects all of us. We just talked about those gas prices. So what about anything else that you're concerned about, like cyber attacks?
Cyber attacks are one possibility. The Iranians are very good in the cyber warfare domain. Another possibility is if they use some of their intelligence operations here in the United States, they could strike us with terrorist attacks, bombs somewhere. So those are two things that concern me. I also wonder about Americans in the Middle East because if they expand their missile attacks and start hitting more hotels where American tourists might be, etc., and plus we have naval ships out there that might get hit, probably not, but you only have so many defensive missiles and they've got a lot of offensive missiles.
I can't help but wonder what happens from here with the Ayatollah confirmed now dead. What happens with the successor? What have you heard of somebody who could step into that place? Because there are a lot of different scenarios here, right?
Correct, and it's a wide range of scenarios as to what might happen next. What I think we need to realize now is President Trump got his regime change. The person who is the symbol for the regime and the key player is now dead, as are 3 or 4 of his key military people as well. Interestingly, probably after he was killed in the early bombings, the Iranians signaled an interest in still negotiating. Those who might replace Khamenei, if they are Ayatollahs, would be possibly his son, but also Sadiq Larijani, who was a prior Chief Justice of their Supreme Court and a cleric of renowned in theology, and Ali Larijani are brothers, and Ali Larijani is their key nuclear negotiator. Could it be Sadiq who takes over and has told his brother to signal we can talk? So maybe the Iranians will come to the table and be more willing to give more ground than they were before Khamenei was killed. So that's a positive thing to look at.
Sure, it sounds like it. How quickly will that happen where a new regime is put into place? I mean, I'm sure they had to have an idea of how this was going to line up if this went down, right? Does it happen pretty quickly?
The Assembly of Experts, which is 89 clerics, would decide on the leader. It's a little bit like the College of Cardinals deciding on the Pope. However, last summer, after the attack on their nuclear program, there were reports that they'd selected at least 3 for a very quick decision, or possibly had already a few days ago selected one person who's not been announced yet, and we don't know who that is. But so I think it will move very quickly. They knew this was coming. They knew Khamenei might be assassinated. He talked about that a week ago as if he knew he might be assassinated.
Oh my goodness.
So I think that they probably have something in place that will be announced fairly quickly.
What will happen now? Any idea of where we go from here?
Well, if the signals are that we could talk to them and the Larijani's are in charge and they quickly take the reins of the government, we could get back into talks and end the bombing fairly quickly. If the regime change turns out giving the Revolutionary Guard more power, they're more militaristic than the Ayatollahs. We might get more fighting for a longer period of time.
If Khamenei's son does come into play and he becomes the next leader, you feel like, is it almost like generational here, where it seems like the younger people are a little bit softer and maybe not so, maybe more willing to talk?
I believe so. Yeah, Muqtada is very much like his father. He is weak in theology, and that's one reason he might not be allowed to become the new Ayatollah. But if he was the new leader of Iran, he comes with, I think, a more technical and a little more social ability than his dad had, who was kind of a standoff cleric. Muqtaba's been more involved in the social cultural side of things there.
All right. Well, I tell you what, it's just intriguing to hear from you so we better understand what's going on. Thank you for spending your Saturday afternoon with us here at Fox 26. I know it's certainly a service to our viewers, so thank you, Professor. Good
Thank
to see
you for having me.
Thanks for your time. Well, this is obviously a fluid situation. It's happening in the Middle East right now, but what could the future of Iran be like? Anchor Lena DeFloria's talk with Dr. Richard Stoll of Rice University this morning on what's next for Iran. You can find that interview on the free Fox Local app. Download it for your smart TV and your smartphone. We'll be right back after a quick break.